It's 2008. You wake up one morning, turn on the TV, and the world is bleeding red. Banks are collapsing. The stock market is in free fall. People who once trusted the system realize the system never really trusted them back. And out of that chaos, something new was born: Bitcoin. It wasn't just a piece of code, it was a declaration, a promise of freedom. Freedom from banks, from governments, from the endless printing of money that steals quietly from the working class. But as history reminds us, freedom is never free. When you remove the rules, the referees, and the regulators, what you're left with isn't paradise. It's chaos dressed up as opportunity. I've seen it in startups too. Founders who quit their jobs chasing freedom only to realize they'd simply traded one boss for another: themselves. Bitcoin does the same. It removes the middleman, but also removes the safety net. And that's the truth no one likes to admit. Freedom doesn't just give you power, it gives you all the responsibility that comes with it. So the real question is, are you ready to pay the price of freedom? I still remember the day El Salvador announced Bitcoin as legal tender. The world called it a financial revolution. Tech bros cheered, investors flooded in. It was supposed to be the beginning of a new era. But the reality? It was far from paradise. Imagine a mother in San Salvador buying milk for her child. Yesterday she could afford it. Today her Bitcoin is worth 40% less. For traders, that's market volatility. For her, it's dinner gone missing. When I visited El Zonte, or Bitcoin Beach, the cafes proudly accepted crypto. Tourists loved it. But a shopkeeper told me, we still prefer cash. Bitcoin is for the tourists. That's when it hit me. Bitcoin isn't a financial system. It's a technology. Powerful, yes. Revolutionary, maybe. But technology alone doesn't feed families or pay bills. Freedom without stability doesn't liberate people. It just leaves them behind. People like to say Bitcoin belongs to everyone. But when you look at the data, only 1% of wallets control over half the world's Bitcoin. The dream of decentralization has quietly become a new kind of empire. Power didn't disappear. It just changed its form. In traditional finance, insider trading is a crime. In crypto, it's just called strategy. I once attended a blockchain conference in Miami. Early adopters bragged about their portfolios: tens of thousands of coins, millions in digital wealth. They called themselves pioneers of freedom. But all I saw was the same hierarchy, just wearing a different suit. This time, made of code. Let's be honest. Decentralized doesn't always mean fair. If you remove the banks but let the richest control the network, what's really changed? We didn't eliminate power and we just gave it a new address. A developer once told me, Bitcoin is perfect. Humans are the bug, and he was right, in a way. Blockchain never lies. It records everything with brutal honesty. It can't be bribed, edited, or manipulated. But humans don't run on code. We run on emotions: greed when prices rise, fear when they fall, and blindness when someone promises us guaranteed gains. I met a man in New York who sold his first house to buy Bitcoin in 2021. When the crash came, he'd lost almost everything. I asked if he blamed Bitcoin. He smiled and said, "No, I blame myself." I thought I understood it. And that's the truth. Bitcoin didn't fail. We did. Technology can make systems cleaner, faster, more transparent, but it can't rewrite human nature. Because the blockchain may record truth, but morality still runs on the human heart. I've worked with dozens of blockchain startups in Silicon Valley, each one claiming they'd revolutionize trust. They said, we don't need middlemen. Our code guarantees transparency. And I'd ask, okay, but do your customers actually trust your code? That question was always met with silence. You can write perfect code, but you can't program trust. Trust isn't built in algorithms, it's built in people, in promises kept, in empathy shown, in honesty proven. I've watched great startups fail not because their tech was bad, but because they forgot this simple truth. Money, whether it's a dollar or a Bitcoin, is just a symbol of collective trust. Technology can build a product, but only trust can build a future. When El Salvador gave its people financial freedom, it came with a hidden condition. Every citizen had to become their own bank. It sounded empowering until they realized it also meant being their own risk manager, security expert, and customer support department all at once. Most people didn't want that kind of freedom. They just wanted safety. A taxi driver told me, I tried Bitcoin once. When the price dropped, I lost half my savings. Now I just take cash, the kind I understand. And that's the thing. Financial freedom sounds noble in theory, but without protection, it's just throwing people into the ocean and telling them to swim. Bitcoin made everyone their own bank, but not everyone was born to be a banker. El Salvador's grand experiment proved a painful truth. Freedom without safety isn't liberation, it's isolation. Between 2021 and 2025, the crypto bubble created millionaires overnight, and then erased them just as fast. For entrepreneurs, though, it was the most expensive classroom in history. I met a couple in Texas who invested their entire life savings into a DeFi project, promising 100 times returns. 6 months later, the founders vanished, along with everyone's money. The husband told me, "We weren't scammed." We chose to believe that line stayed with me because he was right. Markets don't punish mistakes, they just charge tuition. And in crypto, that tuition can cost everything you own. No technology, no system, no innovation is immune to the oldest virus in finance: human greed. Crypto didn't invent greed, it just digitized it. Technology can change how we trade, but it will never change why we trade. When the Trump administration rolled back digital asset regulations in 2025, the market exploded. Crypto was rebranded as freedom, but it started behaving like a casino. Politicians launched NFTs, startups promised revolutions, and billions of dollars flooded into projects that existed only as websites and hope. I met a young founder in Los Angeles who said his platform was democratizing global finance. When I looked at his business model, it was just another digital roulette table. Different setting, same game. Crypto was marketed as liberation, but ran like Vegas. And like every casino, the house always wins. Except this time, the house wasn't wearing a suit. It was hidden behind code, Discord servers, and hashtags. Freedom and greed, innovation and fraud blurred together until you couldn't tell one from the other. And maybe that's the most American story of all. Every bubble begins with hope and ends with the illusion that this time, it's different.